This is Skedlive for Thursday, March 27, 2014. I'm Duncan Spence. We have breaking news this hour as Toronto firefighters are battling a 6-alarm blaze at a mattress factory in the west end of the city. No injuries have been reported. Skedlive reporter Nick Dasko is on the scene. Read his story on skedline.com. In other news today, Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper and German Chancellor Angela Merkel have finished up meetings in Eastern Europe. Though the meetings were based on Canadian-German trade relationships, the events unfolding in the Ukraine dominated talks. Russia supplies 1/4 of Europe's oil. This includes exports to Germany. Russia was blocked from the G8 last week as a result of its annexation of the Crimea region of Ukraine. Meanwhile, the international community has responded to Russia's action with a proposed two-part $28 billion loan to Ukraine from the International Monetary Fund. This after Ukrainian Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk announced to Parliament that the country is nearing bankruptcy. Energy reforms could cost Ukrainian citizens 50% more over the next year if Russia decides to stop selling crude at a reduced rate to the Ukraine. Thai satellites have detected at least 300 floating objects near the area believed to be the crash site of Malaysian flight MH370. Search operations in the remote southern area of the Indian Ocean have been hampered by severe weather. Washington state authorities announced this morning that while the death toll from the landslide remains at 16, not all of the victims' bodies will be recovered. Emergency management services involved in the search say it is too dangerous to recover all of the bodies. In local news, the consensus seems to be that Rob Ford won the first debate in Toronto's municipal election race. Reaction from both social and mainstream media is critical about the lack of any hard-hitting questions during the 2-hour televised debate last night that featured 5 of the mainstream candidates in the mayoralty race. Winter has no mercy for the East Coast as another severe winter storm pounds the Atlantic provinces. More than 50 centimeters of snow and winds, over 100 kilometers an hour, have walloped the region, closing long stretches of the Trans-Canada Highway and closing the Confederation Bridge between Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick. At least here in Toronto, we only have the cold to complain about. Here's Brad McDonald with the Skedlive Weather Report.
Thank you. The storm that was pounding Atlantic Canada this week has moved on from the Maritimes and into Newfoundland. The blizzard dumped 50-plus centimeters of snow and had over 100-kilometer-an-hour winds. We now are going to show you some live footage from a porch in St. John, New Brunswick. You can see the winds blowing the snow around off the roof. The trees are shaking. You can hear the wind howling. Hopefully they're figuring out a way to stay a bit warmer out there in St. John. It's a bit warmer here in Toronto with a high of +3 today. We might see some snow or some rain. Tomorrow, it's going to be a high of 9 and a low of -2 with a little bit of clouds. But we're going to have a sunny weekend. Saturday, we're going to high of +2 and a low of -2. Sunday, also sun with a high of 7 and a low of -3. And then into next week, it's going to stay warm. We're going to have sun with a high of 8 on Monday. Tuesday, we're going to have some rain, but there's going to be a high of +6. This has been your 5-day forecast. I'm Brad McDonald. Now back to the newsroom.
Thanks so much, Brad. Joining us now in studio is Skedline reporter Adam Yawson. Adam, I understand you've been following a new report on Toronto's shisha lounges.
Yes, Duncan. I went down to the Board of Health meeting on Monday where the Chief Medical Officer of Health presented a new report on the risks with indoor smoking of water pipes.
What are these risks?
Well, they're talking a lot about particulates in the air. They're saying that in the shisha lounges you can see levels of 1,400 to 17,000 micrograms per meters cubed. This is in comparison to, say, a very dangerously polluted day in Beijing where the levels reach between 300 and 500.
So what implications does this have for shisha lounges in the city?
Well, the board then passed a motion at the end of the meeting saying they want more information. So again, the Chief Medical Officer of Health has to come back at the end of this year and present new findings, which may include prohibition or other regulations about water pipe use indoors.
And this isn't the only story you've been following this week. You've also been following something on campus. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yesterday we had the HSF presidential election overturned the results of that.
So what happens next?
Well, there's going to be a by-election likely in September. The president-elect his results was overturned, and this comes after there's been some controversy surrounding the incumbent president, Tim Brilhante, who was disqualified from the race. So again, we're looking at a by-election likely in September.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Now let's turn over to some entertainment news with Allison Greco.
Thank you. The Junos will honor the best in Canadian music this weekend. Performers Sarah McLachlan, Robin Thicke, and One Republic will be part of the show. A special tape performance by Arcade Fire is another highlight of the ceremony, which airs live from Winnipeg this Sunday on CTV at 8 p.m. There is hope for the Beaches Jazz Festival. Last week, we told you the grant money had been pulled from the annual event. Now the province has come out with $75,000 from the Ontario Music Fund to save the Jazz Festival from cutbacks. The free festival attracts an average of 500,000 fans every year. It runs July 18th to the 27th. Comedian Rick Mercer has signed a 3-year deal with CBC to extend his show to 2017. The Rick Mercer Report is in its 11th season. This is the first time Mercer has signed a contract for more than one season. The movie Noah, starring Russell Crowe, is causing controversy. Conservative Christians in the U.S. and movie censors in the Middle East are concerned director Darren Aronofsky's artistic license may overshadow the Old Testament story. The film opens tomorrow. In other movie news, director Christopher Nolan is giving some details about his upcoming sci-fi flick, Interstellar. Speaking at CinemaCon in Las Vegas yesterday, Nolan credits Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey as a big inspiration for his film, which was shot in IMAX. Nolan says the film's star Matthew McConaughey delivers a transformative performance. Interstellar is about explorers who make use of a newly discovered wormhole to suppress the limitations of human space travel. It is scheduled for release November 17th. Well, that's your entertainment news. I'm Allison Greco. Back to studio.
Thanks so much, Allison. Here's Kadeen Smith with today's sports.
Thank you. It's a race to the finals in the sports world. The Raptors faced off against the Boston Celtics last night, and for the first time in 12 games, the Raps won in Boston. The final score was 99-90. Our Toronto boys showed up in fighting style, with Terrence Howard scoring 24 points and Kyle Lowry scoring 23. Celtics guard Rajon Rondo suffered a cut on the forehead halfway into the third quarter. Rondo was stitched up and back in the game with 8:05 minutes left on the clock. This was the Raptors' 19th win on the road, and they are one step closer to their first playoff since 2008. More good news for our Canadian athletes as Dustin McGowan will open the season for the Blue Jays. McGowan has not opened a season in 6 years and hasn't started a major league game since September 2011. Last year, his career seemed to be over as he rehabbed another shoulder injury. This year, April 4th to be specific, he will start the Jays' Boys of Summer home opener against the New York Yankees to sell out crowds. Leafs, Leafs, Leafs. There is not much I can say. The hockey team we all love to hate is in a downward spiral yet again. With a 6-game losing streak, the team has a very small chance of making it into the playoffs. Jackson Goncalves faces the music for his actions in Saturday's Toronto FC game against DC United. The Brazilian midfielder is suspended 1 game and fined by Major League Soccer for his aggressive, inflammatory behavior. After an off-the-ball incident, Goncalves received the yellow card in the 50th minute of the match for elbowing DC United midfielder Davy Arnaud. Toronto FC won 1-0 over DC United. Spinning kicks, heel hooks, and submission holds, I can only be talking about one thing, and that's the Ultimate Fighter competition. Today, Humber gets its own dose of the sport as UFC MMA fighter Josh Koscheck stops by the college for a meet and greet and a Q&A. This has been your Sports Roundup. I am Kadeen Smith. Back to the studio.
Thanks so much, Kadeen. This has been Skedlive for Thursday, March 27th, 2014. My name's Duncan Spence. Make sure to check out all of skedline.com for all of our articles. Until next time.